and welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Liddy, and I'm the public defender of the 19th Judicial Circuit. We have a wonderful show to kick off the year, and with us is Joe Cowan. How are you, Joe?
Doing great, Diamond.
And Joe is the Criminal Justice Director for the 19th Judicial Circuit.
For St. Lucie County.
For St. Lucie County. I thought,
Correct.
well, because
Yeah.
you have things going on in the other
Correct.
ones. But he is the Criminal Justice Director of St. Lucie County, but he oversees many services that happen in the other counties. So, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Joe, before we talk about what the Criminal Justice Director does in St. Lucie County, let's talk about you. How long have you been in St. Lucie County? What have you done before you got, I know you just recently got this position, and how long have you been doing it now?
So I've been in this job a little less than a year.
Right.
But prior to that, in a previous life, I like to explain it as I was a police officer, retired as chief of police in my hometown back in New Jersey.
Okay.
I
did not realize that.
Yeah.
Really?
So after I retired, my wife...
And when were you chief of police in New Jersey?
So I started in public safety.
Right.
In the late 70s.
Okay.
And I started in EMS and then transitioned into the fire department. I left a paid fire department to become a cop. Some people thought I was a little off my rocker for doing that, but in 1987 I started as a police officer and finally retired in 2012. My wife let me have a couple weeks off, and she realized that she was not going to continue to go to work while I sat at home.
Right.
So we relocated to North Carolina, started working for another police department there as a civilian manager.
Okay.
Handled all the civilian staff within a fairly large department there. And then I had a private sector opportunity come up, working for public safety company.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that's
in North Carolina?
It started in North Carolina. I transferred down here to Florida with that company. And in 2019, I came on board in St. Lucie County as the pretrial manager.
Right,
and
right.
then when Roy retired, I managed to move into his spot as the director.
So you've only lived in this area since 2019?
No, we moved down here 2015.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. For those of us who don't, you talk about pretrial, and we've had people on the show that talks about pretrial programs, but what are pretrial programs?
So the pretrial program is a method to allow someone get out of jail on either a reduced bond or no bond, but still have some level of supervision.
Right.
So, and in my previous life, I always had the theory of, they got arrested for something, they, send them to jail, throw away the key.
Right,
But, you know what? Everybody makes mistakes.
Right. And they're the innocent people, too.
There are. And, they get wrapped up in something. So not everybody deserves to sit in jail, and they could possibly end up in that vicious cycle of they get locked up, they can't afford their bond.
Right.
They lose their job, so now when they do get out, they have no way to take care of their family.
Right.
Next thing you know, they're either making another mistake, they're losing their home, they're losing their marriage. So this is...
Or they're committing crimes because they have no alternative.
Exactly.
Right.
They get into that, and then they find themselves back into the cycle.
Right.
So the pretrial program, there's a lot of levels to it. There's just basic standard supervision. You know what? You got to check in with the pretrial folks once a week.
Right,
and they're going to come around and make sure you actually live where you say you live.
Right.
But then there's also the GPS monitoring.
And explain what GPS monitoring is.
So that's actually an ankle bracelet that gets put on somebody, so we can see every move they make And it gives a higher level of supervision other than somebody who's out and allowed to do whatever, but they're not incarcerated in jail.
Right. And tell, how are they able to track work? Does somebody in pretrial sit there in front of a computer and have, 100 people on their screen and see where everybody's going, or do they just randomly pick John Smith to see where he's been? How does that work?
So that GPS tracker works off basically off of cell phone towers.
Right, right.
So, and some of those GPS units or defendants will have zones. So Joe Cowan beats somebody up, well, he's not allowed to go near that person.
Right.
So we can set a zone around that person's home. If Joe Cowan goes there,
Right.
anywhere close, an alert comes through.
On a computer.
On a computer, on our cell phones. So
I gotcha.
someone in pretrial knows instantly where that person is. Now, does someone sit in front of a computer? Yes. But they're not necessarily tracking where the people are going. They're looking to make sure that all the GPS units are functioning correctly.
Okay.
We can tell what
if somebody's cut it off
if
or
they've,
taken
if
it
they've
off.
cut it, there's an instant notification.
Okay.
If Joe Cowan decides, I'm not going to charge this thing. Pretrial officers know that because we see it comes up on our screen.
Well, let's stop there because some of the nuances, even though I'm in the business, I'm unaware of. So when you give someone an ankle monitor GPS tracking system, they are responsible for charging it. You give them a charger.
Yes.
Well, it alerts you, but as long as they're in their home charging it, it doesn't give the red light or whatever.
So that we know what the battery level is on
Okay.
that unit. We can see that on the computer screen. If the battery level starts to go down, we'll call that person, hey, you need to charge your unit.
Okay.
We can tell if they plug in, because some of them will tell you, I'm plugging in right now. Okay, I'm going to stay on the phone with you until you actually plug in.
Right.
And so, well, all right, it'll be a little bit, And
Yeah.
others, right away, okay, I see you're on the charger, and we'll tell them how long they need to stay on that charger.
Okay.
Because there are time limits that they must be on the charger every single day
Oh, I gotcha.
in order to maintain the proper.
And how much time is that?
So it's an hour and a half every day.
Ooh, so they have an hour and a half.
Okay. But
Yeah.
sitting at home,
No.
Miriam, how much time do you spend in front of the TV
Right.
anyhow, watching whatever,
Right.
okay? And plug in, fiddle on your phone, do whatever,
Right.
charge that unit.
Now, is there a cost for that? If
There
that's
is not.
okay.
And that is one of the things that's unique to our program. There is no cost. The cost is incurred by each county.
And let's back up a minute. And that's what we were talking about earlier in your introduction. You are the criminal justice director for St. Lucie. However, you have these pretrial services in Indian River, St. Lucie, and Okeechobee County, correct?
Right. And currently, we also have Martin County.
Right.
And Indian River will come on board March 1st.
Right, right.
On or about March 1st.
Right. Okay, so there is no charge for this, which is great. Because, we're talking about it is not fair for the wealthy or for people with means to be able to bond out of jail, but the poor person who could be innocent too, who simply cannot afford the bond, has to stay in jail because they're poor. That is kind of the basic concept between pretrial. So to charge them for this, privilege, if you will, to get out, it is again counterproductive to the whole concept and the idea of the program. Correct, Joe?
Absolutely. So you have this person who's sitting in jail, they can't afford the bond. What makes us think they would be able to afford to pay for a GPS service?
Right.
If they could afford that, they probably would be able to afford the bond.
Exactly.
So you could get back into that vicious cycle again, just
Right.
a different method of putting them back in.
And so, because people who are watching this, many of whom have not been in trouble or not familiar with the system, these are particularly good for situations where there's domestic violence, there's a victim in a case, there's drugs involved, and we know where the drug areas are, so we don't allow them to go in that area, those kinds of things. And it protects the alleged victim. Correct? Right.
Yes. There
But
are
it
many-
also protects the court and the integrity of the court, because a judge sits on the bench, they hear the facts and circumstances, they're not guilty, but there are allegations, and they want to let this person out, so they don't sit in jail, they don't lose their job, they don't lose their house, they don't break up their marriage, the kids can go to school, etc. But the court naturally wants some protection too. They don't want to let somebody out on a lower bond or ROR, a release on their own recognizance, and then they go back and hurt the victim again or whatever. Correct?
Exactly. So there's many levels to this. Again, we can protect the victims with
Right.
Where they work, where they live, so that we know if someone with a GPS goes there. And then another unique thing about our program here in St. Lucie County is we allow the defendants to live anywhere in the 19th Circuit. Most programs, you must be within the county.
I did not realize that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we allow, so they can go as far north as Brevard County or south to West
Right.
Palm, or and out into Okeechobee, which is huge because not everybody that gets arrested in a particular county resides
Right.
in that county.
Right.
It's not a far stretch to think that someone from Vero or from down in Martin County would come to
Right.
somewhere in St. Lucie County, get in trouble. So we can let them out on pretrial program. Again, there's many levels. So there's not just the GPS, we also have cell phone technology too.
Right.
So that it's someone that might need a little bit more than their standard supervision, but not necessarily a GPS ankle bracelet.
Right.
So we have this phone technology that we can also track people.
Well, tell us about that.
So that uses the GPS of the phone and facial recognition. Randomly throughout the day, they'll get an alert on their phone. They have to take a selfie. Everybody with a phone knows how to do a selfie.
Right.
They take the selfie and they submit it, and we know where they are, and we know that it's actually them taking the picture. So you can't just hand the phone to your friend, hey, if this goes off.
Oh, okay.
Then the photo comes through. The pretrial officer gets notification as well, so they can look at the picture. And if the system knows, so if the system says there's something not right with this photo, it's not that person, our pretrial officer can look and make sure it is or is not.
Right. And you service misdemeanors and felonies, correct, Joe?
Yes.
How many, and I'm jumping around a little bit, but, you know, I'm thinking about questions that I would have if I was watching the show. How many people, let's start with St. Lucie. How many people do you oversee and, you know, service every year, I guess, or how? Give me the breakdown, whatever way you want to do it.
These numbers are from this morning. We have
Okay.
in St. Lucie County alone, we have 242 active pretrial defendants.
Okay.
Martin County has 36 and Okeechobee has 14.
Okay.
Now, these numbers are, especially in St. Lucie County, are way up compared to pre-COVID. In January of 2020, we had a total of 219 active. January of 2021, so 1 year ago, we had 310.
Wow.
So yeah, it has increased significantly.
Yeah.
And the numbers have been staying around the 250 mark for St. Lucie County alone.
Okay.
Recently. Not sure when those numbers are going to go back down. There's still quite a backlog in the court system because of COVID.
Yeah.
Not sure they ever will
Right.
go back down to what they were previous.
Yeah.
When I first started in the program, we were around 170 in St. Lucie County.
Yeah.
And so we're up, 40 to 50 per month on a regular basis.
Wow. And how many people work in that pretrial program?
There are currently 16 total people.
Wow.
And they service all three counties with the contract, but we go do home visits in all 4 counties.
Okay. Okay. So you, so a pretrial officer, do they do everything? Are they cross-trained?
Every pretrial officer does every aspect of the job.
Which is?
So each morning, we're required to go to first appearance.
Right.
So they have to see who's on the docket in each county,
Right.
prepare their information, attend first appearance. Fortunately, right now, most of those are by virtual, so
Right.
we have,
Right.
we had to adjust our program there. So there's always someone assigned for each county every single day, 7 days a week.
For first
For
appearance?
first appearance,
Okay.
correct. After first appearance, because those times vary.
And first appearance, again, I'm not trying to be, too basic, but first appearance is the hearing, if you will, where people are brought before the court within 24 hours of their arrest to be read the charges that have been levied against them, and bond is set or not, or a release,
Right.
certain conditions, pretrial, whatever. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
So while that's going on, the other pretrial officers, they're starting their daily routine as well, and that is people coming into the office to check in, because
Right.
every defendant has to check in with one of our offices at least once a week. In some cases, they have to come in more than once.
And some of those go to the drug lab
Some of them,
and get drug tested, depending on the type of offense they've committed.
Right.
Okay.
exactly. So, that could be one of the conditions. They may be allowed to drink, but no drugs.
Right.
So, and sometimes they go hand in hand, and
Right.
sometimes they don't. So if someone is in the courthouse, one of our defendants, we ask that they come check in at the pretrial office.
Right.
Come let us know, because it saves some time, plus we get an opportunity to check on them, make sure they're okay.
Right.
There's multiple reasons we want them to check in. We get an eyes on them.
Yeah.
If some of the people, they do go sideways a little bit, they stray, and you know what, maybe you need to go have a drug test.
Yeah. Right.
Because the objective for pretrial is not just
To punish.
It's to actually make sure they get from release of jail all the way through
The system.
completion of their case.
Right. And you want to help, not
Right.
hinder
We want to
that.
we want to
Yes.
make sure they get there successfully.
Right.
the only way to do that is through supervision
Sure.
of some level. But again, they're not incarcerated with bed checks multiple times a day.
Right.
They come in, they check in with us. We make sure they know their court dates. We don't just ask them if they know their next court date. We confirm it.
Right.
We tell them verbally, and then we also send them a text message so that they know when they have to go to court.
And our
next.
office does the same. Yeah.
And and you can tell sometimes the frustration, the ones who absolutely know what their court date is.
Right, right.
They get tired of hearing it, but it's that reinforcement because
Right.
we want to make sure that every defendant that comes through our door for pretrial gets to a successful completion.
Right.
We have
right.
a very high success rate here.
And what is your success rate?
It's above 90%.
Really?
So,
Really?
yeah, we are, and it all goes back to this level of supervision.
Well, let me stop you just a minute,
Sure.
Joe. Is the mindset for the officers more, is it straight line, any even little deviation, we're going to violate you and say, okay, or is there some wiggle? Obviously, if they commit a new offense or something, that's a deal breaker. I got that. But give me the kind of feel of it.
So there are occasions where defendants just don't know the boundaries of where they're
Right,
allowed
and
to
they
go.
violate.
And they enter a zone where they're not supposed to be. First thing that we're going to do is call them.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing there?
yeah.
Well, I'm going to this store, that store. No, you need to leave the area.
Right. It's not
And
an automatic
it's not
violate,
right.
Okay.
No, it is
Okay.
not. And many will, I'm sorry, and they leave.
Right.
Some will become argumentative and,
Yeah.
oh, no, I'm allowed to be here.
Right.
There are the drug violations. Sometimes they'll go and they'll test positive.
Right.
Any time when there is the potential for a violation, it's still ultimately a judge's decision.
Right. Right.
We will prepare things.
Right.
Even if they come in and they give the pretrial officers a hard time, Judge, this is what's going on with this person. What
Right.
would you like to do?
Yeah.
Let's just put it on record for now.
Right.
We'll hold it.
Right.
Or, you know what, you need to write a violation on
Right.
this one. I
Right.
want to see this person again.
Right. No, and that's good to know too. And it's not that people should take advantage of it or not follow the rules, because it isn't benefit to them that they've been allowed to be released with conditions and stuff, rather than post a bond, rather than sit in jail, etc. But oh wow! Well, believe it or not, we got about 5 more minutes, Joe, and we haven't even talked. Give me an overview, because pretrial is not all you do. Tell us what you oversee in your position.
So in addition to pretrial, I have the drug lab. So
And we talked to Allison.
you did
yes.
talk to Allison. She's fantastic and she does a great job. She has 3 locations that she handles.
Right.
The pretrial has 2 offices. We have the St. Lucie County office in the courthouse, and we have a remote office currently down in Martin County. And March 1st, we will have a remote office in Indian River in the courthouse.
Right.
But I also have CJIS analyst positions. There's 2 of those. And they are basically...
And what is CJIS?
So the Criminal Justice Information Systems.
Right, right.
So there are 2 people in there that are basically computer programmers.
Right.
They have developed, run, and operate the database programs both in the drug lab and in the pretrial program.
Right.
But they also handle the court scheduling calendar
Right.
for the entire circuit. So our
Okay, I did not realize that.
Yep, the court scheduling program is handled by them. We also handle Indian River's drug lab is separate, but their program, their database, that's our database that we
Wow.
take care of. And then there's some other contract things, juvenile justice stuff, that's all comes through my office
Well,
as
and
well.
of course, you're part of the Public Safety Coordinating Council.
Yeah,
Which,
so here in St. Lucie County, I also attend the one in Okeechobee, and then soon to Indian River.
right. And that just so everyone knows, oversees the jail population, if it's over the cap, if it's not, what to do with too many inmates. We always have what to do if there's a COVID outbreak, all of that. Yeah, wow. I did, when you say your techs oversee the court calendars, you're talking about for all the criminal courts and what time they are and when they are in the circuit.
So the calendar that schedules
Right.
the availability of a courtroom, that program,
Oh, I see. Okay.
that program is run by our folks.
Wow.
So if there's a glitch in that, our guys get a phone call.
I gotcha. And that's in coordination with court administration?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I think we need to change your title. I think I was right when I introduced you. No.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving pieces, but you know, every day's an adventure, and I absolutely love it. You know, it's not everybody that gets to say they get to get up in the morning and love going to work and enjoy it. You know, it's more than just a task. It's a lot of fun.
Now, so how many people actually do you we know how many are in the pretrial program. How many people do you oversee circuit-wide?
I think currently there's 31
Okay.
between all the programs.
And do you have physically people out in Okeechobee right now?
So the Okeechobee, we run the person out of Fort Pierce.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
But we do have space out in Okeechobee jail for some supplies.
Right.
But yeah.
But if they're on pretrial, they don't have to go back to the coast, do they?
We go out and see them physically in Okeechobee.
Gotcha.
We do extra home checks on them in Okeechobee.
Gotcha. Well, we're wrapping it up. I know you're getting started in Indian River County. That was a long time coming, but got that going, and that'll be great. And goodness, keep up the great work. Keep doing what you're doing, and hats off to all your folks during this pretty trying time.
That it is, and they have a wonderful staff, each and every one of them. If it wasn't for them, the programs would fall flat.
No, and we're all very blessed.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Joe.